Hi everyone, Velvet here, and I have some stories for you today. But before we get started, can you please do me a huge favor and like, comment, and subscribe? It'll really help the channel out, and it'll get you more videos like this every day. Let's get started. And our first one comes from Persimmon OK1678. Am I the beehole for telling my daughter it's too unreasonable to expect me to spend all my time with her? When I, a 36-year-old male, was in college, I dated Margot. In our sophomore year, she transferred to a different university, causing our breakup. It was amicable, but given our different paths, we lost touch. I've now been married to my wife, Kathy, for 10 years. We have 3 children, a 9-year-old boy, an 8-year-old girl, and a 2-year-old girl. Last year, I got a friend request on Facebook from Margot. Shortly after accepting, she messaged me asking if we could talk on the phone. I found it weird, but something told me to go through with it. So, I called her, and she told me that she had a 16-year-old daughter, Paige. I was in shock. At first, almost didn't believe her. She begged me to at least take a DNA test. After speaking with Kathy, I agreed. Turns out it's true. I do have a 16-year-old daughter who's lived just an hour from me her entire life. Margot says she didn't tell me as she thought she could be a mother on her own. But now Paige was older and wanted to know me. I agreed to start a relationship with her. At first things went pretty well. We did a lot of stuff one-on-one, as well as some things with my wife and other children, initially. Paige wanted to spend a lot of time with just us, which made sense as we had a lot of catching up to do. I see Paige at least once a week. She usually comes down to stay with us every other weekend. And I'll go up and see her on weekends, in between, just me, not the rest of the family. While I love my time with Paige, I do also have to balance time with my other kids, something she seems to not understand. I'll invite Paige to join family things and she'll turn it down. Or she'll find out I'm doing something with one of my other kids and want to come along or ask me to cancel plans and spend time with her. The biggest incident came this past weekend. My son had a basketball game. Paige asked if I could come out and hang out with her. I explained why I couldn't, but I said she was more than welcome to come. She got irritated and said no. I offered to come the following day. She asked why I couldn't just blow off the basketball game. I told her that was important to her brother. She said I had more time with them and they can do without me for a few years. Oh my god. I told her that was absolutely not going to happen. I said I love her and I want to spend time with her, but I also have other kids to consider. She is always welcome to join our activities and that aren't special one-on-one days. And I'll always make sure to spend one-on-one time. She said she never asked for little siblings. While I sympathize, I said they exist and I have to balance everyone. I said if she doesn't want to hang out with the other kids and my wife, that's fine. But expect me to blow them off isn't reasonable. Now she's very upset with me. I have offered therapy. She refuses. I've asked if there's anything my wife and other kids did. She says no. She just doesn't want to share me. She still claims I should put her above all of her siblings. I can't do that. Am I the beehole? Hi, OP. I feel for you. You seem to be in a rock and a hard place. But I agree with you. You can't just switch off all your love for all your kids for years from what she sounds like and just focus on her. You know what? That sucks that she didn't get to spend time with her father all those years. But that falls to her mother. She's the one who didn't alert you until she was 16. And I think you're doing the right thing. That's your child and you're actually making the time to spend with her. But the thing is, if you knew her before she was born, day one, you would still play it out the same way. You can't focus on her even if you knew her as much as you knew your other children. You still have to spend time with your other children, and that's how it works. You can't just choose a favorite and spend time with them. And eventually, I mean, I'm pretty sure you want her to get along with her siblings. So if she does that and hogs up all your time and makes them feel like crap, they're going to start resenting her, and I'm pretty sure you don't want that. I don't know what else you can do, OP. Like I said, you're spending time with her, you're making time to spend with her, and when she wants to spend time with you and you're doing something, you're telling her she's welcome to come. I don't know what else you can do in this situation, but I'll tell you what you shouldn't do, which you are not doing it. Good thing you are not doing it, so you're doing the right thing. Don't give her all your time, and don't neglect your other children. There's really not much for me to say about this. It sounds like she's just being a brat, and I get it. She just met her dad, and she wants to, be daddy's girl, I guess, but that's just not how it's gonna work. So keep doing what you're doing. Eventually she's gonna have to figure it out and stop being a child. Our next one comes from Competitive Sort 4460. Am I the beehole for losing my temper with my late husband's parents in front of our children and making them leave our home? I, a 33-year-old female, lost my husband, Jim, 13 months ago, when he was just 34. Jim and I had been married for 7 years, and we were raising 4 children together before his passing. The oldest child was Jim's son, Kyle, 12 years old, from his relationship with another woman. Kyle's mom was not in his life. She had been at times, but was very unreliable and did not show up exactly to parent Kyle. She'd just show up sometimes to remind Jim that she still had rights. Kyle's maternal side of the family had very sporadic involvement that lessened over time, and after many arguments with us, they did not like the fact that I was the primary caregiver while Jim worked. At times, they did their best to alienate Kyle from me. They would tell him I'm not his real mom, or that I was out to take him away from them. It created problems, and we ended up in court after Jim told him no more contact, and at that point they were given access to Kyle once every 2 months and would often take it, but not every time. After Jim died, Kyle's maternal grandparents sued for custody. A guardian ad litem was brought in the case, and Kyle told the guardian he wanted to be with his real family, who he considered to be his maternal grandparents. He told the guardian he was tired of me taking him away from people he was meant to be with. That, paired with a clean home and more money than I had, went in the grandparents' favor, and they were awarded custody. My husband's parents were extremely unhappy about this, and when it soon became clear that the grandparents would not allow contact between Kyle and his siblings, it was even more clear my husband's parents felt I should have done/been doing more. They made some comments here and there, and I asked them to please not. I told them we were grieving enough with them turning on me. They asked me if I ever really loved Kyle, and how could I let him go? Let him go, the courts, man. The truth is, I do love Kyle, and I always did. I would have loved to have been his mom, and always saw him as my first child. If he showed up tomorrow and wanted to stay, I would let him. I even sent him to his grandparents with a few of his dad's things. But he was messed around so much by his people, and I know the truth from his maternal family caused trauma that damaged our bond. And I know he's struggling with loyalty issues. Letting him go might be the only way to save him from more of that. And it's also the only way I continue to look after my 3 biological children who have lost their dad. On Saturday, my husband's parents were over to spend time with the kids, and they told me that Jim would be ashamed of me for letting Kyle go. I don't know why this set me over the edge, but it did. I lost my temper in front of the kids, and I told them Jim would be more than understanding than they had been, and he would never have wanted them to treat me in such a cruel disregard. I then made them leave. They were furious with me for speaking to them in that way, in front of the kids. Am I the beehole? No, OP, you are not the beehole. There's not much you can do in this situation. If the courts rule it, that's just the way it is. Sadly, the courts kind of suck. Sounds like the grandparents are terrible people because they were manipulating him from the beginning to turn him against you and do evil. So it's crazy how adults can just be evil like that, man. And then Jim's parents trying to guilt you. Again, you can't do anything if the courts rule it. That's that. Are they stupid? Do they not understand how court works? Shame on them for guilting you like that, OP. You did the right thing kicking them out. And I like how at the end, they were furious with you when they're the ones who've been taking little pot shots and cheap shots at you for something that's out of your control. OP, cut them out. Cut them out. You know, if they want to be like that and make things worse, you're grieving. You lost your husband. Your children lost their father. You don't need this nonsense in your life making things worse. Cut them off, OP. Maybe after we've healed and they want to calm down and stop acting like buffoons, maybe let them back in, but OP. Yeah, there's not much you can do in this situation with Kyle. I'm sorry that happened, but you know, brainwashing strong when it comes to kids. And OP, like I said, cut out Jim's parents. They're idiots, not the beehole. And our final one comes from NoCoat7393. Am I the beehole for not picking up my phone on vacation and leaving my tenant, her mom, and my mom to deal with the cops for a couple of hours? I rent my basement suite out to my mom's best friend's daughter, Sally. I knew her growing up, and I used to babysit her. The basement has 2 means of escape, other than going into my area. It's fully up to code and an in-law suite. There is no reason for anyone to go through it in my space. I went on vacation. I left my door to the basement dead-bolted. 3 days into my vacation, I get an alert on my phone that there is an unauthorized event at my house. I look at the video. It's my mom opening the door for Sally's mom. They freak out when the alarm goes off. Usually, I need my mom to get into my apartment. I'll give her a temporary code. That is always the same one because she gets confused by tech. But I have to activate it beforehand. I cannot do it retroactively. The only choice would be to call her and give her my personal code. I checked the cameras inside the house, and strangely enough, my house was not on fire. I did not leave the faucet running. There is no emergency. This is where I might be the beehole. Once I saw they were just effing around with my area for no good reason, I put my phone on airplane mode and went back to the party. Maybe 90 minutes later, after a concierge at the resort came and said I was urgently needed on the phone. My dad has written down my whereabouts, and they called the front desk for me. I excused myself and went for the call. I asked my mom what the emergency was, why she was getting me out of my friend's wedding reception. Was my house okay? Was my dad okay? She very briskly told me to shut up and talk to the cops and the security patrol. I talked to them and apologized for wasting their time. I asked them what the emergency was that brought my mother into my house. They handed her back the phone and let her tell me that her friend did not want to sit in the basement while she was visiting her daughter, so my mom agreed to let them use my house area and it'd be a secret. I asked the security company to please lock my house back up and take my key back from my mother. She started to protest, but I hung up. I enjoyed the rest of my trip, and my dad agreed to pay for any fines or penalties that come from the false alarm. Sally's mom wanted her to move out. That's fine by me. I don't need a tenant. And I was only doing this as a favor. Sally is almost apoplectic, begging me not to kick her out. She said she didn't even know what our moms were up to until the alarm went off. My mom is pissed that I wasn't available immediately to get them out of trouble, and she's furious that I won't give her back my key. She thinks I did it on purpose. I'm not sure how she thinks I forced her to break into my home without permission. So, am I the beehole for making them sweat it out until they got a hold of me? And taking away my key, since I can't trust her now. Alright, OP, you are not the beehole. Don't you just love when people blame you for their mistakes? Your mom was the one who broke into your house without telling you, and she expects you to just magically teleport there and get her out of trouble. I'd handle the same way. She needs to, stop breaking into people's house. Her friend sounds like, a real piece of cake too. Real piece of work too, because I don't want to spend time here. Let's break into your son's house so we can just lounge around in his house. Why would you do that? That's not where your daughter is. You're supposed to stay in your daughter's quarters, and you probably just ruined a good thing for your daughter. OP, I'm kind of hoping you didn't kick the kid out, but I would tell her, hey, you need to get your mom under control, and you're handling your mom just fine. You should. I'm glad you let her sort her out. Maybe you should have been like, I don't know who that woman was. Let her, sit in a cell for a little while and then come save her when you get back, right? I'm just saying, maybe not do that, but that would have been funny. But yeah, it's not the girl's fault that her mom and your mom are, what are they? Facey? Facey means that, just they basically thought they could just walk into your house and there would be no repercussions. I would say tell her mom to not pull that crap again, because she didn't mess up, so don't kick her out, you know what I mean? If she's been a good tenant, don't kick her out if she's been a good tenant. OP, you are not the beehole. I think it's quite funny you let them sweat like that. Thank you so much for staying with me to the end of this video. Can you please do what I said in the beginning and like, comment, and subscribe? It will really help the channel out, and it'll get you more videos like this every day. Velvet out.